Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. My name is Jen Knapp. I'm the Associate Dean of the School of Communication, Media, and the Arts. So I'm pleased to moderate a panel with you for the next hour or so with some of our students. So we'll take what we learned in Kathy's presentation about who our students are, and now we're really going to dig in and actually hear from them what it's like to be a student in 2022 at SUNY Oswego. So I'm going to have the panelists introduce themselves, and then we'll get started on our questions. So Catherine, please go first.
Hi, my name is Catherine Hines. I just finished up my junior year. I'm majoring in adolescent education and English.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Oh, sorry.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabrielle Golfo. I just graduated SUNY Oswego with a double major in Women and Gender Studies and Public Relations.
Go ahead, Amber.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amber St. Joy, and I'm a graduate student here in the Strategic Communication program.
Pablo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pablo Andres Pachucho. I'm a double major in broadcasting and cinema screen studies with a minor in sports studies. I still have a year left of school.
And Joanna.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joanna Hebert. I'm majoring in biochemistry with a minor in business administration and pursuing a master's in business. I'm just finished up my sophomore year.
So you're going to learn our panelists very well at the end of this hour. They've got a lot of unique experiences, a lot of diverse experiences, and they are certainly living very complex lives. So I think one of the questions that intrigued me that Kathy brought up during her presentation is, maybe our students need something. So maybe today we'll learn a little bit more about what they need. So let's get started. So panelists, our first question, what motivated you to pursue college? And specifically, why did you choose SUNY Oswego? And Gabby, I'm going to ask you to start.
All right. So my brother attended SUNY Oswego, so I got to visit the campus, which I think was a really nice plus in helping me make my decision. But ultimately, the true reason why I chose SUNY Oswego was because I was accepted through the EOP program, the Educational Opportunities Program. For those who don't know what that stands for, I hope you do. And so, yeah, with EOP, they provide exceptional additional support than normal students usually would receive through regular admissions. And through EOP, it's also a college access program for some students who may not normally be accepted for college, whether it's for financial reasons or maybe SAT scores, things like that.
Great. Pablo, how about you go next?
Well, for me, the main reason why I chose SUNY Oswego was because I wanted a dorm. I live in Long Island, so I'm pretty close to the city. So a lot of the other options I had were close in the city to commute. And for me, it was always important to dorm and have that full college experience. And SUNY Oswego provided that for me. And back then, I was just going into school as a broadcasting major. And I know that SUNY Oswego was really good for broadcasting. So,
Joanna?
For me, I'm a student athlete. I play on the NCAA women's hockey team. So a lot of it had to do with Coach Digby recruiting me, and then I got to come see the campus and everything, and it's beautiful. It reminds me of home, and I just felt at peace there, so that's where I decided to go.
Thank you. Catherine?
When I started looking at colleges, I knew that my options were limited to SUNY schools. So I was only looking at SUNYs, and I knew from the time that I was like 5 years old that I wanted to be an educator. So after coming to Oswego and hearing about the education program, I knew that Oswego was going to be the place for me, and I'm very happy that it is. So.
Fantastic. And Amber, our graduate student.
So I went here for my undergrad, best decision ever. And honestly, it started off with the lake because the lake was very beautiful and I loved it. But also, like when I heard from my tour guide, it was about the professors caring about your grades and caring about your professional growth. And I love that. And I was like, okay, this is for me. And the same reason why I pursued grad school here, because my professors were amazing and really encouraged me and helped me develop my skills.
Great. So thanks, Amber. I'm going to use that as a transition into our next question. So you have this idea, we all have this idea of what student success means. Let's hear from our panelists, how they define student success. So who would like to go first?
I can. Kind of going through high school, I was a straight A student, and kind of coming into college, my view of success changed because sometimes it's not always an A in the class, but sometimes it's, you know, making sure that you're putting in your best effort, and, you know, mistakes made and time management and everything like that. So my success started to really look like me just improving in every one of my classes, where it may not be perfect, but as long as I'm constantly improving and learning, then that's what success looks like for me.
Great, thanks. Who's next?
I kind of wanted to add on that. I also, back in high school, I always felt like being a successful student was just, you know, making sure you got good grades and all that. But then coming into college, I realized it's a lot more than that. As long as, in my personal opinion, I feel like if as long as you learn something and you gain something out of the classroom, it may not show in the grades, but it may show later on in the long run in your life. I feel like that's what's really important. And also, you know, making connections and just making a lot of friends and just being more involved on campus. I feel like that is what makes a successful student.
Great, so we can already see that once they arrive, their definition of success evolves and it changes. Great. Anybody else like to chime in?
I see we all muted our mics.
I would say I also came into college with the same idea of success, was getting good grades. And then once I got here, I realized it's not always going to be getting an A in the class, but understanding your peers and making huge growth within yourself, whether that be in the classroom or outside of the classroom. I think success is defined differently by every person. And I've been really lucky to be a part of a lot of people's story and becoming successful through programs like the first year, stuff like that. So.
For me, success changed when I came into grad school, especially with the mentality of like, I have to get all A's. This is professional life out here. You're adulting. But now it's like, okay, the A's are not that important. Just get what you need out of it and, you know, take everything that you learn and apply it, but also perseverance, because college is really hard. And I feel like if you survived a semester and you did good, like that's amazing. No matter what grade you got and you graduate, that's amazing. That's a success in itself.
So I think through my friends, I've learned that success can be measured in many different ways. Personally, it took me till my senior year to realize that I wrapped my whole identity around being a student scholar. And while it felt really nice getting good grades and being recognized for having like high grades, I realized that I really felt like a robot, because towards the ending of my senior year, I had less credits that I needed to fulfill. And people would ask me like, what are your plans? Like, what do you like to do for fun? And I'd really just sit there and think like, what do I like to do for fun? Damn, I don't know. Like I spent all my time in the library, so I don't know. So this past year was definitely very reflective for me in terms of just understanding echoing what everybody just said in this chat. It's really about putting in your best effort and hopefully being able to apply what you learn down the line, even if it's like with family, breaking generational curses and things like that.
Great. Anything else on this idea? Success, or how your definition of success has changed? Okay, let's highlight some successes. So does anyone want to share the most impactful experience you've had in the classroom?
For me personally, the most impactful moment in the classroom was when I decided to take intro to video production back in my sophomore year with Professor Suarez. Back then, I was just a broadcasting major, but going into that sophomore year, I wasn't really sure that I wanted to do broadcasting anymore. And when I took that class and really learned, and I learned a lot from Professor Suarez, and just really seeing like the passion that he had for broadcasting and video production, and like the passion he had for teaching students, it really opened up my eyes a lot. And taking that class made me realize like how much I really loved video production, editing, you know, producing and stuff like that. And that's what really helped me realize that I wanted to pick up cinema screen studies as a second major. So that for me personally was very important to me, and it meant a lot.
Yeah, for me, my most impactful came my very first semester in school. I was actually online, but I entered college and I hated math, and I knew I had to do a lot of it because I'm a STEM major. And so I decided to take pre-calc instead of just going right to calculus. And Miss Appleman was my teacher, and what an impact she had on me, and just like, encouraging me, and like, I mean, she didn't even do it on purpose, but she just let me know like this is something that I can do. I can be successful in anything that I put my mind to. And even if it's intimidating, if I continue to work at it and, really put my effort into it, then, I can do it. And that was just really impactful for me. And it's really shaped my, how successful I've been in my classes over the last 3 semesters.
I think definitely one of the most impactful experiences I had in the classroom was sitting in the classes with Dr. Kenneth Marshall. He was the only professor during the pandemic that still had his classes that I had in person. So I felt like that itself just spoke volumes, but also while he taught amazing and important coursework for Black history, he reminded us constantly that college is about transformation. And so he went on to tell us that we shouldn't walk out the doors the same person that we came in. And I feel like that was really deep for me because it really made me think about the habits that I have. And it really just pushed me harder to want to eliminate those habits and create and form healthier ones. So that's something that I was told the pandemic happened during my sophomore year. So I guess the beginning of my junior year in person. And I hold that so tight to still today. And I continue to tell students that as I was a mentor. So that's something that I really try to emphasize. And I'm going to continue to hold dear to me. Like, I want to transform. Yeah.
Anybody else?
I would say I just finished up my second semester of junior year, and I took ADL with Professor Byer, and that course was really eye-opening. I think a lot of people realized throughout this past semester, like, teaching is really scary, especially right now. And taking that course, we really got to dive into our feelings of how we are going into teaching, and that's something that we haven't really had the opportunity to do so much yet. And I think that was really beneficial because it was very eye-opening of being like, okay, I know I can do this because now I know I have the tools to do it.
I guess for me, like from the beginning, when I was a freshman, when I took Foundation of Communication with Professor Rear, and realizing like, oh my goodness, like communication is so much more than speaking, and that I can actually change the way how I communicate. I used to be a very shy person, but ever since taking that class, I kind of just evolved as a person and just really learned how to communicate with my peers, with my family, and, create and establish relationships. So that was one of the most meaningful, and that kind of led me on the path that I am today.
Okay, so Amber, let's just stick with you. What about outside of the classroom?
So success outside of the classroom, or?
What has been the most impactful experience you've had outside of the classroom?
Honestly, the friendships I made on this campus, because, we're all going through it together. Like, we're all college students. We're all doing these finals and classes and under stress and anxiety together. And I feel like I received so much support through my friendships and relationship that I made on this campus, and especially living in a dorm, but also like working within Res Life and being an RA and now assistant hall director, just really helped me a lot, just kind of create my leadership capabilities and to stand strong and firm. And yeah.
Great. Somebody else, something that's happened outside of the classroom that's left a mark on you.
I would say being able to collaborate with like vital student organizations, like the multicultural organizations. I feel like they create such an important, safe space on this campus for students of color. And I love that being able to be a part of those celebrations or those events, it's definitely added to my experience in terms of understanding how important it is to collaborate and just really understanding that we're stronger together. So that's like something that I'm definitely taking with me and running.
For me, it definitely has to be the intramural sports in the gym. Being a student and being away from home, a lot of times it can be very stressful, and you need a way to kind of let that out. And for me, these playing intramural sports, if it was soccer, basketball, volleyball, or just going to the gym, working out, going to the basketball courts behind Oneida, or going to Lee, those experiences really helped me a lot, and it really like let me blow off that steam when I couldn't do it in the classroom.
Yeah, I can kind of build off of what Pablo said, playing hockey and everything. I mean, just having that support system that my teammates give me and everything, kind of what Amber said. And I'm also an RA. So a lot of the times I'm the support system for a lot of students that I mentor and everything like that. So being able to not only to learn how to be a support, but also have that support system myself. And then hockey's always been my escape since I was a little kid. I started playing when I was 3. And so that's my time to kind of escape school, escape my responsibilities, just kind of go out and release anything that I have, and then, go back into life and keep working.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with, I agree with what everyone was saying. A lot of the friendships that I've made have really been what I would consider a huge success outside of the classroom. I've also had the opportunity to work with Focus Forward and then move on to do freshman success coaching. So getting to see the perspective of a high school senior who's scared to go to college and talking to them every day, to then talking to college freshmen and getting to see the difference and how it was not the same students, but how a lot of the perspectives change and what's still scary and what they're looking forward to and what they were like, oh, that wasn't that big of a deal. I think that's been something that really opened my eyes. So I would consider that to be one of my most successful things outside the classroom. Sorry.
Great job. All right. Let's move into a different topic. Let's talk about stress, and let's talk about anxiety, and let's talk about pressure. I'm sure you don't feel any of those things. So talk to us about how you manage stress and the pressure that you experience, and whether those stressors are external, like family or health or something like that, or if it's just everything that you're juggling. All of you are juggling multiple identities, as well as responsibilities. So talk to us about how you do your best to keep it all together.
I can kind of start here. Just over the last year, just family-wise, being away from home was different, but also my mom went through some severe medical things that, you can always be there, and it was just kind of back and forth. But for me, managing my stress has always been in the gym. I've always found that to be a good release, and you can take your time, you can go and do that. I also have found that being a good manager of my time really cuts down on my stress. If I can have a good schedule, a good setup, this hour I'm doing this, and this, and really put myself on a routine, I've found that takes away a lot of anxiety and stress, because a lot of my anxiety comes from not knowing about things. So if I can cut down on that, I can, help take a lot of that out of my life.
I agree 100%. Managing time, I think, is very helpful. It's just like it's life. Sometimes things come up and it's unexpected and it kind of throws us off. But I think like with school, that's why it's helpful that now they enforce the syllabus in a way, because it's like, all right, I'll see when these big assignments are due. I'll try to work around it. But something that I always try to emphasize is like the same way that students are supposed to be like organized and have things planned ahead of time. It's like, I want my professors to be the same way. So I really appreciate those who are really understanding that we're humans and we're not just students, because there's a lot that we're trying to manage and just push through. But I think for me personally, it's trying to keep my priorities in line and stay far away from procrastination. Some people really believe they work good under pressure. I can, but I just prefer not to. It's not enjoyable. That makes me anxious. And something that one of my dearest friends, who's one of my biggest support systems, really has helped me learn is just like really taking care of myself. That's just kind of going back to the robot thing, but really prioritizing how I feel and my mental health and taking time for myself in order to produce my best work, I think is like essential.
Yeah, going off of what Gabby was saying, I completely agree with that. when the pandemic first started, I was going through a lot during that time, and I decided it was best for myself to take some time off from school. So I ended up taking a whole year off. And honestly, I look back and I feel like that was one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself, because not only was I taking time off for myself and really just focusing on me, what it is that I want to do with my life, really figure out my own thoughts, my own mental process. I also felt like if I stayed in school, I wasn't really going to learn much. I have a lot of friends who decided to stick it through the pandemic and take classes and all that through online. And a lot of them regret that because they felt like they haven't really learned much. Yes, they said it was a lot easier to pass the classes because it was a very chaotic time for not just only the students, but also the faculty and professors and all that. But looking back, they regret it because they haven't really learned much. And so, yeah, that was really important for me. And while I was taking that break off, I also learned an important thing was communication. Communication with my family, communication with my professors in school. It was amazing that even when I was here, like at home, taking the year off, I was in constant contact with Professor Suarez, and he would always talk to me about about when coming back to Oswego, what's my plan, this and that. He was really guiding me. And then also thanks to Professor Suarez, he put me in contact with Dr. Knapp, where she was fantastic and amazing, where we would meet up every week, talk about, how it's going in school and stuff like that. And through all this, through communication, I found an incredible support system, not only at home, but also in Oswego.
Going off of what Pablo was talking about, I've also learned the importance of communication. One of my biggest outside stressors outside of school is my physical health, because I do have some health issues. And learning how to unapologetically put my mental and physical health first has been a big part of limiting my stress and anxiety. And I really learned how to do that in a way that comes across still as professional, but still putting myself first in the classroom and in friendships and family relationships. So.
Yeah, this past year, being a first year grad student and, starting a new job, stress and anxiety, if I'm being honest. And for me, what I learned is boundaries for myself and understanding that I am an overachiever and I cannot do things the same way that I did during my undergrad. I need to take a step back. And also for others as well. And, I know for next year, like I'm taking 2 classes because I did 3 classes this semester and that was canceled, y'all. I'm never doing that again. That was too much work. So I'm going to do 2 classes next semester and making sure that, I'm taking care of myself, because this semester I did not take care of myself. I really wasn't putting myself first or making sure that my mental health was okay. But I reached out for help once I realized, okay, I'm not at a good spot. I talked with my professors, I talked with the counselor, I talked with my peers and my coworkers at work and my family and my boyfriend. And that helped me so much more and just helped me to get out of that rut and to feel like myself and be good again. And shout out to Dr. Vickery, because she really helped me a lot this semester and helped me persevere. So yeah.
Yeah, also, I just kind of want to add on to that because a lot of professors in my life over the last 2 years have been just unbelievably understanding. I mean, I do not live anywhere near Oswego. I live in Michigan, so going back and forth to home is a long ways. And honestly, without their understanding, without them being willing to work with me and help me complete these classes, not just, worried about, this time set and all of that stuff, but really working with me. And then also to my academic advisors, Dr. Gublow and Sue Whitmer, they've been incredible on just helping me put schedules together that have been successful. So honestly, a big thank you to you guys also.
So panelists, I don't know if you can hear, but very often you're getting applause. So I do want to have a quick sidebar with Amber and Joanna, just to talk a little bit about what it's like to work in a residence hall and what is it like to have to manage your peers?
So from a pro staff level of being assistant hall director, so I have to oversee the front desk, 2 buildings actually, Johnson and Riggs Hall on campus, our recycling technician, and support my hall director with our RAs. And we serve an on-call rotation where we're on call from Tuesdays to Tuesday from 4:30 to 4:30, basically. 8 a.m. that following Tuesday, and we have to respond to different incidents. If I'm being honest, sometimes it's really hard because a lot of these students go through a lot of things that's so tough, like suicide ideation and so forth. And it's very draining, trying to divide yourself from experiencing that incident and going home. but it's also like really like we do receive that support from the counseling center, from my peers, and talking to my hall director, letting me know this is what I experienced, this is what I went through. Working within a residential hall and living in it too, it's honestly really fun. You get to see the growth of the students. And I know for me, from my perspective, when I hire students to work for me, I just see such development from like, I work with first year students as well as like, sophomore to seniors. And I just see such a growth within the year and how they, just want to change and want to get involved and so forth. But it's fun. We have our good sides. We have some not so good side, but it's still a great position to be at.
Yeah, and then down on the RA level, I'm an RA in Onondaga. So I was on the 5th floor this year. So I had about 30 residents just on my side. There's 2 sides, so kind of 60 to the floor. And you kind of really get personal with your residents, and you get to be there for them. All those questions that they have that I don't know. So what should I do here and everything. And I love being that for people. I love being that for them, and having them know that they can come and speak with me, and I can be that support system for them is honestly just it's special. Like there's not really another word for it. And then also just I work with 19 RAs in my building, and we also support each other throughout the job. Our hall director supports us, our assistant hall director, but a lot of the times it's us working with one another, because a lot of us play sports and we juggle on calls. We have weekend on calls, which are 24 hours, and then we have weekdays, which are 12-hour on calls, so 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And so if you get a call in the middle of the night, I've had several 3 a.m. calls, and get out of bed and go to respond to those. But I mean, being able to be that person for them is, you're the first person there. You get to talk to them. You get to be that support system for them. I mean, it's stressful, but it's also really beneficial to kind of see too.
I just want to add on to that real quick too, since Joanna's talking about being on call. So when, say, Joanna's on call, for example, if I'm on West Campus, I'm on call responding to her incident. So it's really cool seeing that difference from supporting the residents to the resident assistant, because, a lot of things happen and some of our resident assistants may not feel prepared, but also encouraging them, like, you did a good job. Like, that was a tough incident, but you did great. And just seeing their growth as an RA is really awesome too.
So we're talking a lot about support. So let's get into it. Who is supporting you when it comes to your achievement of your educational goals? Talk to us about your support system.
I guess I'll go. Oh, okay. I guess I'll go. My family, my mom, my dad are really amazing. Especially this year. I've been crying every day, if I'm being honest, because I was so stressed out. And they're like the first 2 people I'm like, listen, y'all, this is not it. But they encourage me and so forth. My boyfriend, really amazing. My coworkers, shout out again to Dr. Vickery, because if I'm being honest, this semester was so tough that I actually felt like I was losing my passion for communication. But I remember she took me out and we went to a bakery, and just talking about communication helped me fuel myself and really just persevere and finish off strongly. So thank you again. Definitely, I'm a Christian, so God, I just pray a lot. So that helped me a lot this year. And my coworkers and my supervisors, Megan Marks and Justin Dickerson, are really great and amazing and really helped me a lot.
Great. Gabby, I think you are poised to go.
Yeah, so I definitely feel like my family is great. Like, they're always open to like answering the phone and hearing me. But I feel like being a first generation student, it's a little different, because sometimes they don't understand the stressors as much. Except for my sister, she graduated from SUNY a few years ago, so she gets it. But I would definitely say my friends 100%, and my EOP family, I think, is top number one. Like, I go in the office, and even if they're busy, like, they'll always make time for me or for really any of the other students, and they just go above and beyond. And it's like, it makes me sad sometimes. I feel like some people don't understand how much they do, or really how much what kind of services they provide until the end, which is okay, because it's like, all right, at least it happens. I'm sorry for that noise. Yep, I live in New York City. And so I definitely feel like my support system when it comes to achieving my educational goals and stuff like that is definitely EOP. They do these semesterly and end of the year recognition awards. Like, you made it on Dean's List, like, great job. Like, being 6 hours away from home, I might not get that applaud or maybe it be hung up on the fridge, but they do that for me. And it's just like, I'm internally grateful and I just want to like give back as much as I can.
Yeah, I agree with Gabby. You know, like family for me was definitely like they were a huge support system. My mom specifically. There was a lot of times where I was in doubt if I was even going to go back to SUNY Oswego or not, what it is I wanted to do. And she was there every step of the way. Um, I'm not a first generation college student, but I am like a first American generation. And so that cultural difference is a little, there is a difference because there were some times with my family where they wouldn't understand certain decisions or certain like thought processes I've had, but regardless, they were still supporting me like all the way. Like I said before, like I like the professors in SUNY Oswego, the faculty, majority of them, they're amazing. They're really there for you. Like the broadcasting departments and the screen studies department. I've had so many conversations with Professor Suarez, with Professor Amy Shore, and with Professor Ricky. So many and even Dr. Nat. It was incredible. But honestly, it might sound a little weird to say this, but I feel like the best support system for somebody is yourself. You know, at the end of the day, you can reach out to a lot of people, you can communicate with a lot of people, but if you don't really put like, you know, that your best foot forward or really try your within yourself, it's going to be hard. And so, yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, I can continue that. I mean, my family has definitely been there for me. I've changed my major at least once, my minor too. So, I mean, they've been there for me, just kind of helping me decide. I know I've always known what I want to do after school. It's just, there's multiple paths to get there. And then just kind of deciding the best one that's for me. I know my mom has always been there for me. She's my rock. You know, I've remember several times calling her the night before exam, just crying on the phone. So, I mean, she's always been there for me. And then also I'm a Christian also with Amber. We actually go to basic together. And so just God and, you know, prayer and being able to lay a lot of stuff that just at his feet and everything and kind of take it off my shoulders. But I also agree with what Pablo said and, you know, being willing to put your best foot forward is 100% true and just always giving your best. And that's all that you can do. And if you know that you're doing that all the time, I mean, there's really nothing you can hold over your head. So
Yeah, I completely I completely agree. I've learned this year especially to be able to be self-reflective and realize, okay, this is what I'm doing that's not benefiting me, and this is how I can change it. And now it's up to me to do it. But I've also been lucky to have amazing friends who are always pushing me to try new things and be as good as I can possibly be. And like everybody else said, my family is a huge support. I live 5 hours away from campus, and I have called my mom up and she was there within like 2 days. And I was just like, I just need someone to take care of me right now. And she was there to help. And I think also being able to communicate with professors and your peers about what you're struggling with in classes has also really helped me. And that was a big part of stepping out of my comfort zone and making those new connections and communicating what I need.
So I have an unscripted question for y'all. Get ready. So earlier we were talking about communicating with you, and that oftentimes students don't actually approach us, that we're sitting there waiting in our office hours for people to show up and nobody shows up. And we're like, well, I guess they don't care because they're not coming to talk to me. But clearly you have all benefited from the relationships that you have built with your instructors. So we're also today talking a lot about the students that are going to be joining us in the fall. So the class of 2026. What advice would you give them that you feel like could really persuade them to meet and build relationships with their instructors from day one?
Me personally, I would just say participate as much as you can in the classroom. Ask as many questions as you can. I know it's cheesy, but it's true. There's no stupid questions. I've asked a million questions in the classroom. I've asked the professor to repeat themselves many times. But that just shows that you're showing the professor that you're engaged in the classroom. You really care. You really want to learn. And then also like that way, the professor starts to get to know you as well. So let's say, for example, there were times where, I wouldn't participate and my professors would find that odd because I would be normally someone who does participate. So they would talk to me maybe after class, or they would email me, check up on me and stuff like that. So I just think it's very important from day one to just really be engaged in the classroom.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Pablo. I mean, I always try to sit right up front in my classes, right, to try to get to know my professors right away. I mean, playing hockey, I depend a lot on my professors and their understanding. Dr. Damkowski is my organic chemistry professor, probably my favorite professor this year. Don't tell him that. And so he did a lot for me. And I could never go to office hours or anything like that, but he was always there to answer, an email and everything outside of class. And he also put together a lot of stuff on Blackboard for, people that couldn't come to ask him questions. And he just really took the time to be there for students. And it wasn't just me, it was our entire class. So, but also just definitely get involved right away. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to approach them because, I mean, ultimately we're here to learn, and if you don't feel that you're doing that, then you need to express that to your professors and everything like that.
Yeah, just to add on to that, don't be afraid to be vulnerable with your professor and let them know like where you're at. And my mindset's like be best friends with your professors, try to get to know them as much as possible because they are a great resource. They can help you for grad school. My professor helped me get into grad school. They can help you make connections professionally after you graduate, but also like don't have that stigmatism of like, oh, you're a professor, I'm a student, I can't have any kind of like friendship with you or relationship with you. Like that's wrong. Speak up because they do help you a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think in the beginning it can be really scary to walk up, especially in your general education classes where it's like 100 students and everyone's waiting in line after class to be like, hi, I am Catherine. But I think it's really beneficial to go and introduce yourself, especially in those big classrooms. Send an email, say, hi, this is who I am. I want to let you know I'm in your class and I'm really excited to learn with you. And I think that would be my biggest thing is introduce yourself and make yourself be known. So
I also want to add another thing because the attitude of the professor is also something very important, because it doesn't really matter how much the student are trying to connect with the professor and all that if, it's not met from the other side. So there has been times where I've had professors where I felt like they didn't really want to be approached or it was very hard for me to approach them. So I kind of backed off a little bit, but then there are other times where there are professors you can tell are very engaged and they're very open, they're very communicative themselves. And, that makes it a lot easier for us students to really approach them as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. While I always encourage everybody, like sit in literally everything you scholars just said, sit in the front, introduce yourself, all that good stuff. I think I also understand where it is being a professor, like wanting to be professional and like have that, but also not want to be too lenient or whatever. But I think just finding that balance where it's like you're professional, but you're cool. So, because I feel like a lot of students express to me like, oh yeah, like I really like this professor. Like I felt comfortable going up to them. Like they seemed really cool and like nice kind of thing. But I would just always encourage students again to just like put yourself out there and whatever you get back is what you get back. But just remember why you're there. It's to learn. So if your professor doesn't want to be your bestie, that's okay. I'll be your bestie. Just go there to learn the best way that you can.
So we have a lot of folks in the room that are not professors. They're advisors, they're in the counseling center, they work in alumni and development, career services, internships. What about all those folks? Who have you met? Who have you built relationships with? Who's supported you along the way?
Kind of, I already mentioned this before. Miss Sue, she was my academic advisor my first 2 semesters. She's only supposed to be my academic advisor for that long, but I've definitely used her long past that. She's just always been there, always answers an email, always set up times, outside of it, even though she is not my advisor anymore. She continues to be available. And then also, my current advisors, Dr. Gublow, she has helped me set up this great degree and everything and worked with me because my schedule is not exactly typical. So she's just worked with me to make sure that I can complete all of my classes on time, and then also helped me set up my minor and everything where I can potentially get a master's in business if I choose to pursue that. So, advisors literally help you put the pieces together. They are the keys to the puzzle. So thank you very much to them.
I agree. My advisor, Professor Kane, she's amazing. She's always available to talk because there has been times where I was like, I can't do this class anymore. And it's like the last day, the last minute I can get out of it. So please help. I think she literally spoke on the phone with my mom once. But aside from that, I work in the Compass Center with the Freshman Success Program. So everybody in there it's an amazing community. They're always sending emails like, hey, we have snacks, come say hi. So I definitely appreciate the relationships that I've built in there. And I would say that just putting your best foot forward, like we were talking about before, whether somebody responds to you with the same energy that you give them, it's always best to put your best energy out there.
I agree 100%. I would just say, like, for those who maybe aren't professors or any faculty, it's just like, I feel like a hi, how are you can go a really long way. Whether you might not get that response that you wanted the first time or the second time, the third time might come around and they might just vent. They might just pour it all out. They might be like, you know what? I'm really going through it, you know? I feel like eventually like that energy will be reciprocated. And I know for sure I appreciate those faculty who sometimes I don't know or sometimes I see, and it's just like, hey, just like acknowledging each other and just saying hi. I feel like Oswego, for the most part, is really good with that. Like everybody's really friendly. And that's one thing I really do love about Oswego. Everybody's just like, I don't know, I just feel like it's really important to recognize someone's existence. So that's why I say hi to everybody. Like I've probably seen you guys. I don't really know you guys, but I'm gonna say hi just because.
I'm just gonna add on, I'm gonna shout out the counseling center, especially the work that they put into on this campus with Let's Talk and meeting the students where they're at. I know for me personally, like before I was like, counseling, that's kind of canceled. That's not for me. But once I took the initiative to do that, it helped me so much. So shout out to Jake Hedges, but also for students coming in, like to not be afraid to reach out for help and accept that you're not okay. Because we have all the resources on this campus and people that cares about us to make sure we're succeeding, not only in our academics, but personally, mentally, and so forth.
Right, so you've all been wildly successful in a lot of different ways. Let's talk a little bit about what hasn't happened to you yet or didn't happen to Gabby while she was here. So are there any things that you expected when you arrived at college that just didn't happen?
Well, I'll just go first because my time's over. I really, really, really wanted to study abroad. I really wanted to study abroad, but I was planning to go study abroad my junior year, but COVID happened. So that just didn't happen for me. And it didn't make sense for me to do my senior year because it just wouldn't be the same. I really wanted to explore to my full capacity. I don't like regulations and stuff like that. So that's the one thing I'm sad about. And I think secondly, which is the one that's probably hit me the most as a senior and really getting involved on campus and stuff like that, is just like really wanting to make more structural change, but feeling like it's too late. I know it's not too late, but I'm just like trying to tell my friends who were below me in lower grades, just like, hey, you don't like that thing? Well, make sure you advocate, like tell Kathleen, Dr. Kathleen Kerr, like she's absolutely amazing. And she's like here for the students and she wants to change, like she wants to be there for us. And I feel like a lot of students don't understand how much power they hold. Like we hold a lot of power and like we matter. And I just feel like we really need to believe that we matter in order for us to see the change that we really want to see.
You know, I was supposed to go to London the summer before senior year and got canceled because of COVID, and I was really upset with that. And same as Gabby, I wasn't able to do it my senior year. It didn't make sense. I was like, I just want to leave and dip. But I really missed out on that, and I really want to do that. But I guess I might just wait after I graduate and just go on a personal trip.
For me personally, something that didn't happen, that I wanted to be more involved in clubs and organizations. But for me personally, one thing I just didn't like about the clubs and organizations that I attended was I felt they were too cliquey, and I don't want to say names, but like but yeah, like it was a little hard to really get in because they already had their groups, they already had their positions, and so you to really grow into that organization, you really had to like give it 100%. And for me personally, it was very hard to do that. You know, being a student, I used to be, I was an RA at the time. You know, I had a relationship at the time. I had a lot going on. So it's very hard to give one organization your 100%. And so, yeah, another thing also was friendships. You know, I remember going into college, I imagined I was going to make like so many friends like from everywhere and it was going to be cool. But I remember freshman year, I made friends, but they were not everlasting. And then I always look back and I remember something that my mom's always told me when I was a kid. She goes, you can always count your true friends on the back of one hand, you know, each finger. So yeah.
I mean,
Sorry, you can go.
I mean, I'm only about halfway through my college career, so I definitely have more experiences to have. But so far, I mean, COVID was different and everything. I mean, I was blessed because, you know, being on a hockey team, you get to know a lot of people just because you're there. But certainly this year, just having that full experience, being on campus, my roommate, she's my best friend now. I mean, developed that relationship. I haven't had someone that close with me for like since I was like 10 years old. So it's just really nice to have that again. And then also, I mean, kind of what Pablo said, I started out like really trying to be involved in clubs, but it's also very difficult. And I decided to kind of put my time elsewhere. So, I mean, a lot of my friendships have come from my job and then also my team and everything like that. So just having those two involvements have been perfect for me. But I'm also going on a mission trip this summer. So that's kind of something I've always wanted to do. And that's kind of become possible too this summer. So I can't really say I'm missing out on anything right now.
I came into school quite shy. I really struggled to get involved, and the friends I was making, I felt weren't really seeing who I really was because I was so timid. And then we left for COVID, and I was really struggling when I got back. And I was always telling my parents, I was like, I just don't know if this is the right fit for me. I don't know if this is really good. And then I put myself out there and I started joining organizations and I started meeting new people, and I just tried my very best to present who I am, and it's really benefited me. So what I was lacking before this year, I feel that I've found. So
Great. So let's close it out on a theme that seems like everyone in their own way has touched on today, and that's perseverance. So talk to us about a challenge or a moment where you just maybe for a second felt hopeless, but then you overcame it. So talk about a challenge that you've overcome, something that you're proud of.
I would say for me this semester, if I'm being honest, it was very hard for me mentally and juggling between my job and doing full-time school and everything. And I had to step out of my comfort zone and ask for help. I'm the kind of person that's like, I can do this. Like, it's no problem. Yes, da 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 da. But it's like, no, I need help. I need someone to tell me about myself. I need to start creating boundaries and making sure that, you know, I'm okay. And I don't know, I'm happy. I'm the kind of person that's used to getting all A's, but this semester I got all B's, but y'all, I cried when I saw it because I was so happy about it. And I'm like, I made it, I did it, because I honestly felt like I was going to fail because I wasn't really feeling it this semester. But I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I survived this semester in the school year and that I finished my first year of grad school. So yay, one more year. So
Yeah, for me it was the fall last fall semester. Just, you know, it's first time being on campus, first time being an RA, first time playing my sport full time, and then also doing a full schedule of classes with not easy classes to be that. And then also my mom had brain surgery last fall, and I was back and forth between Oswego. Thankfully she's okay and everything. But that semester I've never received a C in my classes, and I got my first C. But honestly, I was just happy to be done with it and for it to be in the past. Like, I mean, it affects me, but also not in the sense of what everything I went through. So the fact that, you know, I came through that okay. I was able to continue working. I didn't fail any classes. I finished all of my classes that, you know, are really important to me with very good grades. So, I mean, all of that was my hardest semester and kind of time of my life actually. So
I think definitely the hardest semester I ever endured or prevailed through was my second semester of junior year. I had to do an internship. I was a TA. I was taking all my upper division courses. It was just a lot, a lot, a lot. And being a perfectionist as I am, like I just was pushing myself really, really hard. It was hard for me to like concentrate. I felt like it was taking me way too long to do like simple assignments. It got to the point where I was really thinking like, do I need to be medicated? Like I thought I needed medication so I can concentrate better. But really, I just needed sleep. I was exhausted. I wasn't drinking water. I was like the simplest basic human needs I was just completely neglecting. And I feel like once I tried to really moderate and pay attention to what I was doing, then it started to feel a little bit better. But I think just finishing that semester and passing everything and moving along with onto my senior year was a great feeling, but it was really hard. It was definitely really hard, but it made me stronger. So
Yeah, for me, it was definitely coming back to school after taking a year off. You know, like throughout the year, there was a lot of doubts within myself of like, should I even go back to school? Is this what I want to do? You know, is it even too late for me now? I'm going to be 21 going back. Like, is this right for me? But I'm very happy that I did. You know, it was such an amazing feeling. I came back last semester, so fall 2021. And when I finished the semester, it was such an amazing feeling. Like as knowing I passed all my classes, I was no longer in academic probation, and like just knowing within myself, I tried my hardest, and here I was. You know, just the fact that I was able to make it back to Oswego was a huge triumph for me.
I'd say one of my biggest struggles has been my health. I do have a pretty severe health issues, and I was lucky enough to be okay for the first part of my college career, but then after COVID, I got sick again, and kind of having to learn how to be honest about that and putting my health first and setting boundaries and knowing that I can still put myself out there. And if I'm honest with people and say, well, I might not be able to make it because so-and-so, that's really changed my perspective. And I felt like I've been able to take much bigger steps now that I'm able to confidently communicate my boundaries. So.
Great. All right, panelists. Last unscripted question. You have a room of over 100 people right here. We need your advice. What can we do in a couple of words to help students be successful?
Show grace. Us students go through a lot sometimes, and I've had amazing professors who are understanding, but be a little lenient sometimes, because it's not like some of the students are not wanting to do your assignment or anything of the sorts. It's just circumstance happens, and sometimes we're not feeling it. Sometimes we're not okay mentally, and we might need help and support, and maybe see the little things. Reach out if you see something that's not really up to the students, I guess, par and what they usually or typically do, because you never know what they're going through.
I think communicate with your students also. Like sometimes, there's a lack of, I don't know. I've had really good professors, but sometimes I've had a couple where, it's a lack of understanding of kind of what was expected in the class. And then if that little bit of communication gets lost, then there's, frustration and there's stuff that builds up. So I think communication, and then also kind of what Amber said, understanding. And again, I can't thank my professors enough for the level of understanding that they gave me for everything that was going on in my life. So I didn't have to repeat any classes. I know in one of my classes, I was able to take an incomplete and was able to finish that class, kind of on my own timeline, so I could, pass and continue moving on. So just communication and understanding, though, I think those are two really good keys for me personally.
I would say awareness also, just be aware about what's going on like in a classroom, like with the students, body language and all that. Just be engaged with the students as well. I understand it may be a little bit difficult as professors. It's not a high school environment. We're expected, it's expected to, be more professional, as we were talking about earlier. But just being aware of your students and someone like how they are as students, like in the classroom, outside the classroom, I feel like that could really go a long way, and not just only like building relationships with those students, but also like in the short term, like seeing how they act in the classroom.
I would just say like being open, because I feel like the more, with your own boundaries, of course, but I feel like the more personable we are, or you are, the more that we can be as well. I have like some professors who just like, I went through this thing, blah, blah, blah. And then it makes us sit and think like, I can relate to that, or I can't relate to that. But that just kind of made me want to share this with her or him or them. I think in general, it's just like remembering that we're all human and we have a lot more in common than we do not in common.
I completely agree with that. I think going into the classroom or just any day, if you're not a professor, just being positive, saying hi. Honestly, I think just saying hi is really what works best. I think that's the closest connections I've had with professors are the professors who go into the classroom and they're like, I hope everyone's having a good day. Maybe somebody tell us what's going on. Just give us a little life update. Stuff like that has really gone a long way within the classroom and building a community in Oswego overall, I think.
Is that helpful?
You all nailed it. Thank you so much. Absolutely fantastic. We do have a couple of minutes. I'll entertain some questions if anyone wants to speak to our panelists. Allison, we'll get you the mic. Or you can say your question, I can repeat it. So panelists, what strategies do you use to set boundaries? Do you mean personal boundaries, academic?
Boundaries that help them be successful, like putting their health, their physical and emotional health first. I think that's something that a lot of our students struggle with. So like as an advisor, we will refer them to the counseling center and stuff like that, but how else can we help students learn to set boundaries like you did?
For me, I always try to set an allotment of time aside for myself, whether that be on the weekend or in the evenings or something like that, whether that's time to talk to my family, reach out to friends, just hang out and relax. Being able to separate yourself from your work, your academics and everything like that, and making sure that you know that do things that you enjoy, whether that's going for a walk or something like that, something that's gonna, boost your endorphins, make you happy and stuff like that.
I guess for me, saying no. I'm the kind of person that's like, I'm like an overachiever. I want to work hard. Yes, I'll do that. I'll do this. I'll help you. But then this semester I was like, that's canceled. You got to say no. So saying no, and like Joanna says, like doing stuff for myself that I love and enjoy. And I feel like this semester I was losing that. I didn't do things that I like anymore. I didn't play my instruments or like read and all that stuff. So setting time for yourself and like keeping that time no matter what, like don't think about work, don't think about school, just get that time and that moment to just chill.
And I think somebody for myself who kind of forgot what the things is that I like to do because I was so wrapped up in other stuff, is just I'm not being endorsed and I'm not being paid to promote this, but there's an app called Insight Timer, which is a meditation app. And I feel like meditation really does change somebody's life. So for myself personally, it's really hard for me to sit still or sometimes not want to think about certain things. But I think using that app and meditating, it's kind of helped soothe me and remind me of things that are important to me or help me realize things that I don't like and things that I do like. So I think like meditation helps.
Yeah, I think it's just very important that you give yourself me time. You have to really find the balance between all right, let's study and do work for an hour, but then for another hour, let's take a break. And then we'll go back to work for another hour and then take another, at least that's what works for me personally, because if I'm working for too long, I stress myself out too quickly. So I need to make sure I have like those intervals of breaks.
Great. I'm going to move to our audience to see if we have any other questions for me.
So most of us are in this business because we believe we can change lives. And I guess my question to you is that you had a self-perception that you came to college with. You had goals that you came to college with. And I like to think we aim to change that and elevate that about where you're going to go versus the way you came to us. And I just want to hear from you whether or not you feel we did that for you. Those of you who graduated or are about to graduate.
Yes.
Catherine, go
Sorry. I would say completely every professor I've had, whether we had a good relationship or maybe I was really struggling in their class and I wrongly blamed them for how I was performing in their classes. Every single professor, every person I meet on campus and I've had the opportunity to speak to has completely changed my perspective on what success is and what I want to be as an educator myself. And I've gotten the ability to learn from everyone in that way. And I'm really grateful for everyone that I've met in Oswego. So I would say yes, completely.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I feel like coming into Oswego, I had certain goals, I had a certain mindset, and, you know, meeting the people that I have, the professors, the faculty, the advisors, my friends, classmates, they really elevated those goals and really have opened up my mind to the unlimited opportunities that there are in SUNY Oswego and outside of SUNY Oswego.
Yeah, I guess for me, like coming in as a freshman, 17 years old, and now grad student, 22 years old, I've completely changed. And it wouldn't be without the help of my professors and those outside of the academic field, you know, within the Career Service Center, Counseling Center, and Res Life and so forth. I've changed. So yeah, I think everybody did their part and really helped cultivate and evolved my mentality of school as well as myself and perception of myself, but also having, I guess, an acceptance of me, you know, and just trying my best and not really being that perfectionist, but learning and really taking everything that I learned and apply it.
We have 1 minute. I'll take one more question from the audience. Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for being vulnerable and sharing with us. It means so much to hear your words and your experiences, and we very rarely have an opportunity to get together and do something like this collectively with students and with faculty and staff. And then second is I'm Nicole Westerdahl. I'm a pretty new librarian, and so we keep talking about communication. And one of the things that's a challenge for us, especially those of us who have limited classroom time with you, is how do you want us to communicate? Before we had this panel, we were talking about the different things like TikTok and Discord, but if I were to create a Discord server, would that just be more noise? Because for me, I get a lot of noise on Discord. So I'm just wondering, like, how do you want us to communicate with you?
For me personally, I've received so many emails from so many services on campus, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't look at them. Like you said, after a while, it just becomes noise. It just becomes like background stuff. I've always been someone where like face to face is the best method. You know, even if it's just a quick small interaction, just maybe like starting a conversation or just saying hi. That for me goes a long way than, you know, like sending out emails or doing a TikTok. And yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it's just, I mean, I go to the library a lot. It's kind of my peaceful area where I actually get work done. So just seeing people and saying hi and being willing to reach out and stuff, just face to face, like what Pablo said. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing that I enjoy. Just a hi, how are you? You know, even if it's just a quick answer, because you know we're busy, but those go a long ways.
And I think you said it, like, we don't do this enough, even though we're virtual right now. Like, you guys all getting to like sit right now together and just talk. I feel like we just need more in-person things now that, you know, things are progressing. I think, I don't know anymore with COVID. I think just trying to create more in-person events and programmings and things like that. Yeah, I'm definitely more of an in-person gal. So
Same.
Yeah, the means for communication will always be different for each individual. But I do find that in person is very effective, and maybe having a little social gathering like this, you know, maybe like a little social hour, come meet the professors on campus and so forth. And I find that it really helps. I know the school had a social session and celebration for the end of semester. And it's like, oh, I get to see all my professors that I don't normally see. And it was really awesome.
Great. So before I thank the panelists, I want to thank Tammy Buller for all of her help today in getting our Zoom to work seamlessly. Thank you, Tammy. So Catherine, Gabby, Joanna, Amber, Pablo, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Thank you for meeting with me and making all of this happen. We're so proud of you and we're so grateful for your participation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me. Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you around.
Bye, guys.
All right, so now I think Kathy and Kristen are going to get us set on our next task.
So I want to jump in and just say special thanks to Jen Knapp for her amazing moderation skills.